Welcome to another episode of the First Fruits Stock Club. How you guys doing today? How are you guys doing? Hope you had a great week so far. Um, Man, I come here every week, every Thursday at about 7 to give you guys some information, hopefully to take your finances to the next level. That's my overall goal. But always, I'm trying to start off with a little story about what's going on in my life. I'm trying to build a relationship with you so we can get to know each other a little bit. So, man, my son plays flag football. All right, he plays flag football, and this week, man, I've been coaching my son since he's probably been about 5. I never intended to, but we did I-9, and one of the coaches got me to help coach. You know how the coaches try to get you to help coach, and you just want to stay there and just watch the game. Well, anyway, he got me to coach, and I've been coaching ever since, and I love it. And we've done really well. We've won outside of I-9. We've played in Columbia and a few other areas, and we've have not won a championship, been played in the championship. We've done really well, and just recently we won championship in Anne Arundel County. And so for this, it was a new league for us. And after we won this championship, then we got to play on a national level against teams all across the United States. Florida, um, Houston, I think what was it? North Carolina, a lot of places on a national level. It was definitely an experience. All right, let me show you my shirt. Rise national championship. So we got a chance to play, and it was definitely fun. It was definitely fun. But so just to start off, we played like I hate 8 o'clock games. My son probably has had like an 8 o'clock in the morning game since he's usually younger kids play early in the morning. But it's fine because it does get very hot. Okay, in these tournaments, this isn't the first tournament. This is the first national tournament that we played in. But it does get hot about 12 o'clock. It's in July. They're always in July. And so I was sick all last week. So, man, I had problems sleeping that night. So I finally get to sleep. And then my son knocks on the door, boom, 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 in the middle of the night. I don't know if you have kids. They just got this thing about knocking on the door in the middle. And finally, when you get to sleep, so he wakes me up, and I have problem getting back to sleep. I'm a light sleeper. I hear any noise, I'm up. So anyway, so we get there, and I'm restless or whatever. So we pull up, and I'm looking, and I'm like, man, is this like some of the real University of Maryland real football players, or I'm like, man, these kids are huge. My son is in the 6th grade, so we played in the fifth, the 6th grade tournament, and so we walk we walk in there, and these kids are huge, right? And this is going to be a two-part series episode, and I'm getting somewhere with this. It does have something to tie into finances, but the kids were huge, and so let me just show you. I'm gonna give you a picture of my son. So this is my son is in the yellow here. All right, you see in the yellow, and he had to guard this guy in the blue, and he had to go man to man on this guy, just for the fact of they had like 3 guys as tall, and as you see, the yellow kids is our team, and our team is we have a small team, but they're really quick and they're good. They can play. We went undefeated this year. We played against tall kids before, but this was a different level. So we get into the game, and they thought that they were just going to wax us. Now the first game we got waxed. I'm not even going to lie. The first game we got waxed, But this game, we were actually in the game the whole game. We were going back and forth, back and forth. I coached defense. I did what I could. You know, we were definitely undermatched in a lot of areas, but I couldn't. Usually, I can have one side will play man, or I could do coverage around it, or whatever. Didn't happen. Okay, didn't happen. Um, and he just had to man up, and he gave up a few touchdowns, and it was something that you know it was just one touchdown in particular that the quarterback, he's going man to man, he's going down the field, and the quarterback throws it high and throws it behind this kid. And let me show you his height again. This kid reaches behind his head. Okay, it's like 6 foot. He jumps up in the air, reaches behind his head, like this, and one hand pulls into the catch for a touchdown. And after I saw, I know my son, he was deflated. I saw him, he's like, psh. And I had to talk to him on the sideline. I was like, look, there's nothing you could do about that, right? And there's nothing you could do about that. You just have to do what you can and play what you can. So, man, today's topic is, and what I had to tell him is sometimes things are unfair. Like, this is an unfair matchup. This guy had all the advantages on you. I mean, you probably were maybe as athletic, but height wise, he basically came up to the middle of his chest, and then you look at the guy's wingspan. It was just a bad matchup for him. But that is of life, right? And sometimes in life, right? Life is not fair. We know life is not fair, but let me tell you, financially, life is not fair financially, right? It is not fair financially, and that's the topic of today. It was a roundabout getting to it. But life is not financially fair. It is not, right? And I know what happens is, we go to school, we get jobs, and sometimes it seems like others may have a foot in front of us. Like we didn't in our family, they we maybe our parents didn't teach us about finances. Maybe we didn't understand about debt too late. No one taught us these things, right? We had to learn on our own, and we're basically trying to make up for the mistakes we've made in the past, right? And then sometimes it just seems like, man, people are in front of us. People are having better financial lives than us, right? But all in all, just as I told my son, man, life is not fair, especially financially. It is not fair, right? But what I told him, I said, look, that doesn't mean you give up, right? That doesn't mean you give up. That means that you have to be scrappy, and you have to fight, and you have to find little wins, small wins, even though the big thing, in regards to the guy scoring a touchdown, maybe you stopped them on one particular pattern or whatever, or maybe you learned something, a new technique while you're out there. You have to find small wins in life, and you have to be scrappy, okay, and find ways, especially financially, right? Especially if you feel like you fell behind, you're starting behind the eight ball, you didn't save, you didn't do any of those things. Your job isn't the greatest. You're not making the most amount of money, right? You didn't go to college. You didn't finish college, right? Whatever it is, whatever your situation, and you see others that may have done those things, right? Or they had somebody in their corner to encourage them. But the truth of the matter is, things just aren't fair. Like finance, especially when it comes to money in this country, people start on all different levels and areas, right? So what we have to do is what I told him. I said, you have to be scrappy and just do the best you can and find ways to win, right? And I was telling him, I said, look, if you had to pull on his jersey just a little bit, by the hook on the side where the ref can't. If you had to do little small things to find a way to win, that translates in the finances, and we don't want to cheat in our finances. Okay, that's not what we want to do. But we just want to. Hey, maybe we don't eat lunch, or we bring a lunch to work. Right? Maybe we get a part-time job, and we just all the money from the part-time job we use to invest or to pay off debt. You know, whatever we have to do. Right? It may not be conventional. It may not be from the standpoint of our job and our money from our job is going to take care of it. It may not be that, or we have a lifestyle from our job. It may not be that, right? It may not be that way, but we have to find a way to be scrappy, find a way to win, to find small wins, and stay positive. And that's what I had to do, especially in the standpoint of he got kind of defeated in life financially. You'll get defeated, right? We all get defeated. We have some financial losses. I've had numerous financial losses, but we have to bounce back from them, and we have to keep moving and keep going. And this is the topic of the day, man. Is how is that life is not financially fair. So we have to find ways to win. All right, enough of that. All right, so let's get to the next section. Let's get into the market. So the Dow Jones Industrial Average this week, we started out, and I always like to look at a week view. So we started from Friday, up 267 points from Friday, ended today at 44, 693.91. The S&P 500 is up 53 points, ended up at 63.35. That's interesting. All right, 35 as of Thursday. But man, you see that it's starting to move on a little downtrend there. It is that time of year, so we have to be. But this has been a pretty good month so far, and July is usually a good month in the stock market. Right, it's usually one of the best months in the stock market throughout the year. So it's a good time. And matter of fact, all we need to be invested all the time, but sometimes we're invested more than others, right? And that's again also being crafty and shifty. All right, so Nasdaq started at the week Friday, closed out at 20,861.91, and currently, man, we hit over 21,000. I think this is a big milestone. 21,057.96. Man, it's I think it's a milestone. 21,000. We'll see where we go from here. But yeah, it's important. Like I said, July is usually a good month in the market. So a portion of our portfolio, and I always preach three portions, three separate portfolios. One of our portfolios need to always be invested, right? And like I said, we should always be in the market, like always have money in the market, but yet sometimes we have more than others, right? And this is a month that we should be a little bit more invested, and probably next month, because I combine trading and long term holding, and that's what I teach in the club, is that you take some profits, put it on the side, and look to add to maybe some positions. As we know, August, as you don't know, maybe August, September is usually a tougher month because it's a transition month, right? People getting ready for school, summer's ending, right, and people are transitioning. So it's probably the volume is usually not as much, but we still stay invested, right? But we put cash on the side. We're looking for opportunities, right, that we can close out the year, right, through the last quarter of the year. So so today we're going to move to now to the next segment. All right. So today's stock that we're outlining today, we're spotlighting today, is Alphabet, titled GOOG. And Alphabet overview is a parent company of Google and several other businesses. It was created in 2015 as part of a corporate restructuring to make Google's core business more focused while separating its more experimental ventures. Key milestones. Google was founded in 1998. It IPO'd on the NASDAQ in 2004. And I remember when they acquired YouTube. I don't know if, man, I remember when they acquired YouTube. Man, it was like two young engineers created YouTube. And man, YouTube is like minting money. And if you have kids, my kids are, oh, I have to, of course, you have to limit it, especially during the school year. But you have to limit it because they'll be on YouTube all day, right? It's very very addictive, right? It's always videos on there, and man, and I think I was reading something, and that they basically streaming has taken over in regards to how people are watching television. I mean, we kind of know with Netflix and Google, we kind of know that that things are changing, right, in regards to how people are behaving when watching TV. But our kids, I mean, they're not. I mean, what regular TV? What is that? They're all on YouTube, right? They do watch Netflix and some of the other channels, when they put on stuff that they like. But for the most part, they spend all their eyeball time is on like YouTube. It was crazy, especially my older son because he has a phone. But anyway, he needs it. Especially the way things are today. We need to be able to contact him. So anyway, Google or Alphabet Inc. closed at 193.20 today. It was up $6.28. It closed at on Friday at 186.34. And so let's get into it. Man, the key business units of Alphabet: Google Services core segment. Everybody knows Google Search, right? Ads, Google Ads, AdSense, and AdMob. I don't know about AdMob. I have to do some research about that. YouTube, Android, Google Play, Gmail, Google Maps, and Chrome. Right? Of course, you have cloud infrastructures, ISaaS, and PaaS. I think that's how you pronounce those. Excuse me if I'm pronouncing them wrong. Productivity software, Google Workspace, Docs, Drive, and Sheets. It competes with Amazon AWS and Microsoft Azure. Azure. And so they have some other bets, right? And these are the bets, and they consider maybe the future of the company, which, of course, is we know the main business segment is search. But we have Waymo, self-driving cars. That's been in the news, especially with Tesla and the self-driving taxis and all the other companies that are competing in that space. Verily, life sciences and health tech. Haven't heard a lot about that. Calico, longevity, anti-aging research. Healthcare is a really big. A lot of these tech companies are getting into healthcare. Wing, drone delivery. I think Amazon kind of made everyone aware of drone delivery of products. Loon, this doesn't exist anymore, but it was balloon-based internet delivery. I don't know if you guys remember when the balloons were going around. I wonder if they had something to do with that when we were trying to figure out where these crazy balloons were coming from. Um, Other businesses, DeepMind AI research lab known as AlphaGo, Fitbit. I didn't know. Makes sense though. They acquired it in 2021. Google owns Fitbit and Google Fiber, high-speed internet service. I think they're part of that service where they're trying to uh, put these these lines in the ocean, right? So strategic focus, dominance in AI, like AI and search. Everything is AI now, right? Monetizing YouTube Shorts and cloud AI, scaling Waymo and DeepMind breakthroughs, and heavy capital investments in data centers and AI infrastructure. I mean, that is where we are going. That's where these companies are spending a lot of money. So, so let's just look at how much. Man, this is only and two. So they're probably on going to generate close to over 300, close to $400 billion, $400 billion in a year. It's crazy. Um, so the total revenue just for the second quarter was $96.43 billion in all their segments. Search and others, they did a total of $54.919 billion. This was down 12% this year. But the total revenue year over year is up 14%. But their growth, as you see, is in cloud and workspace. It was at 10.35 billion, but in 2024, but in 2025, this year they just reported at 13.62, up 32% of the year. We see that that segment is where the growth is going to be. So Google, I would say it's a great long-term portfolio. They do have some headwinds in regards to they have some legal actions coming against them. They have a few cases um, coming up, so that will probably cause the stock to consolidate a little bit. But it's been on the uptrend, and Google has this pattern where it is kind of towards the end of the year or like the middle of the year, the beginning of the year, the stock does not do well at all, right? Doesn't do well at all. But like summer, midsummer, or mid-year, like end of March to it usually does pretty well. So I think building a position and then maybe looking at a position, maybe adding some heavy. I mean, you should. I mean, you always should be buying like every every time you get paid, or at least once a month, you should be buying a stock. And I always preach, it's the First Fruit Stock Club. Those first dollars, you should be giving some, right? Giving away to charity, but also those, and then also investing, right, at the front of your check. Now, if you give at the back end of your check, the economy is too powerful, and the consumer, the marketing is too powerful for you, right? And most people never end up having money left over. So, in order for you to invest and change the lifestyle and change the trajectory of your family, you have to invest first, right? First fruits. And I know, and what happens is that no one has probably ever taught you that, right? So you put your bills in front of all that stuff, and your bills will always increase. All right. So whatever gets in the front of that paycheck, that priority, that will increase. All right. It's guaranteed. Those things will increase. So if you put your investments and your giving in the front, those priorities will increase over time. All right. And whatever that's usually in the back, those things, well, I would say they decrease, but those things will probably increase also. But the front of your paycheck is the most important part. When you get paid on Friday, and matter of fact, if you know you're not good at putting money into different investment accounts, you should have automatic deduction. And I'm not saying, I'm saying outside of your retirement, right? Because we want lifestyle too. right? We just want retirement and let people tell us that one day after we retire and we're too old to do anything, that we can then have our money. We want our money now, right? And when we become, when we manage our money and we become money managers, what I teach is that we basically on an annual basis, on a quarterly basis, if we do well, we should be rewarded. All right. But you got to invest. And this is, this is after you've accumulated and created a portfolio. You can act as a money manager and sometimes take some money off the top and treat yourself and treat your family. All right. Not all of it. Like you just taking big chunks out of it. We want to keep the majority of our money in the market. But I say, and this is people may be against this, but I say you can reward yourself. All right, man. It has been a great show. I thank you guys for giving me another few minutes of your time. I appreciate it. And man, always stay fruitful.